would like to call the special meeting of the Lorain City Schools Board of Education to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferguson.
Here.
Mrs. Washington.
Present.
Dr. Ballard.
Here.
Mrs. Nazario.
Here.
Mr. Sturgill.
Here.
All right. Good evening, everyone. At this time, I have the honor of introducing our high school principal, Mrs. Cheers, to the podium so she can introduce some very fine, achieving students to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and share on their accomplishments on this evening. Mrs. Cheers.
Good evening. To lead us in our pledge tonight, we'll have JROTC Cadet First Sergeant Sebastian Brewer. If you could please come up.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sebastian, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. And thank you to the board and Dr. Graham, Mr. May, and Mr. Scott for this opportunity to congratulate and present the names of 27 seniors who were awarded scholarships through the Community Foundation of Lorain Community College. The Community Foundation of Lorain County, our community organizations, and families. Our students were awarded the Beth Stocker Scholarship, the Betty K. Hoffman Memorial Scholarship, the Dozen Done Scholarship, the Frank Kern Scholarship, the Lorain High School JROTC Eric M. Barnes Scholarship, the Mildred Rawl Memorial Scholarship, and the Ted Jacobs Memorial Scholarship, as well as the Red Cross Scholarship. I will call the names of the students that were awarded tonight with the help of Assistant Principal Ms. Jones. And all of our students couldn't make it tonight, but I do want to mention that we've made it a point to communicate with our families and students to try to increase the participation in our students applying for scholarships. And that number actually quadrupled this year. And so our selection committee had quite a few applications to go through. The first recipient, you want to take the certificates, is Elon Boyd. He won the Ted Jacobs Scholarship for $500. Jamie Cabrera was awarded the Raw Scholarship for $1,000. And if you're here, please come up to receive your certificate. Malaysia Casey, the Raw Scholarship, $1,000. Marlena Chlebowski, the Stocker Scholarship for $2,000. Rodney Crawford received the Ted Jacobs Scholarship for $500. Nayla Dower, the Kern Scholarship for $2,000. Courtney Dumas was awarded the Rawl Scholarship for $1,000. Asiana Green was awarded the Dozen Done Scholarship for $5,000 and the Huffman Scholarship for $450. Joey Hall Jr., Stocker, $2,000. Brianna Johnson, the Raw Scholarship for $1,000. Avon Killian, the Kern Scholarship, $2,000. Katie Lee, Stocker, $2,000. Andres Lopez Negron, the Stocker Scholarship for $2,000. Aleki Marrero Rivera, JROTC, $1,000. Peter Marshall, the Raw Scholarship, $1,000. Marilyn Miscannon, she was awarded the Dozen Done Scholarship for $5,000 and the Huffman Scholarship for $450. Daniela Ortiz, the Raw Scholarship for $1,000. Erica Michelle Ortiz, the Raw Scholarship, $1,000. Susan Park, $2,000 from the Stocker. Hannah Pruitt, $1,000 from JROTC. Isaiah Ray, $250 from the Red Cross. Antonio Rosario, $2,000 from the Kern Scholarship. Roger Ravenshaw, $2,000 from the Kern Scholarship. Carrie Tomasic, $5,000 from the Dussenden Scholarship. From Stocker, Penelope Wallace was awarded $2,000. And Jalea Wright, $1,000 from the Raw Scholarship. And Zach Zhang, $2,000 from the Stocker Scholarship. And that is roughly $50,000 in scholarship money to those 27 applicants.
Congratulations.
Thank you and congratulations. Congratulations to the families.
Recognition of visitor.
Yeah. One more first, right? Okay.
That's where this is. Oh,
No, we have a,
did you have something else, Mike?
I just didn't know if we were going to do a picture, but there's another
You want to do a
process
picture? Go.
before we do the picture. So no one leaves, 'cause
Oh, let's do
we
that.
have a recognition of one more group, right?
Yeah, did you want to do a picture with them first, or do the
It's up
music?
to you.
Good
Let's recognize, go ahead. Who else do we have?
So we have our,
Celebration.
yep, another celebration. We have 3 music teachers here to,
Cool.
want to go there next?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
All right, perfect. So 2 weeks ago, actually the day of our last board meeting, we found out that we were recognized as one of the best communities for music education in the country. So really excited tonight, we have with us 3 of the leaders of our music department on our Arts Council to share with you about the award and just what goes into our music education now 3 years after your big investment a few years ago in our arts programming. So I'm excited to welcome Emily Pack and Angelo Cortica and Ted Terhune to come on up. We literally are now one of the best communities in the country for music education, and thanks to their leadership.
You to blame, so thank you for that.
Sorry, yeah, thank you. So yeah, the award, do you want me to use this?
Please.
It's for
Yeah.
TV, yeah.
So the award is given by North American Music Merchants, who obviously have a vested interest in seeing us teach music to students. We're one of under 900 100 districts who receive the award, and there's about another 100 individual schools that receive the award. The application process is pretty thorough. They ask about our student population, how we use our funding to support music ed, how we develop our music professionals, so what music specific professional development is offered for us, as well as the education level of your music staff. They look at collaboration within the music department and across departments, which we do a lot of already. Our community and administrative support, which we have so much of, and we're going to say thank you a million times, so here's another one of them. So thank you for all the support. They look at what performance opportunities we offer our students, not only in-house, but where we take our students to perform outside of our buildings and outside of our community. They also look at the music ed offerings that we give and what access we allow our students to have from pre-K all the way through high school, which is, as far as I know, every student has the ability to participate in some sort of musical offering, which is incredible. They also look at the amount of time we allot for music instruction, which is honestly one of the reasons I came to teach here and why I love teaching here, is because of the amount of time I get with my students. It's honored as equally as all the other classes that they take. They also look at what music offerings as far as diversity is given to our students, and we do a great job of offering a lot of different things. And then of course our community support, which is large as well. This award is going to affect us in a few ways. It's going to attract quality candidates. When we have a music position open, that stamp on your website will get you more applicants. Vendors will take notes, and we might start to see sponsorships. We might start to see discounts from larger vendors, knowing that we're doing good work and that we're going to be invested in for the long haul. Hopefully our families take note and encourage their students to participate in our programs. And of course, it's a point of pride, not only for our district, but for us as music educators, because I get to say I work at one of the best communities for music education. I've got Emily and Ted here with me. I can speak to what's going on at the middle schools, but I'm going to hand it over to Emily so she can talk about what we're doing at the elementary level music-wise. I wish I knew more about what she did, but I'm excited to hear what she has to say. So, Emily?
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm the music teacher at both Admiral King and Palm, and also a part of the Arts Council. When I first started at Lorain 4 years ago, I walked into the art room, looked in the cabinets, and saw a box of old rhythm sticks, a few broken drums, and some odds and ends. Now, as I close my 4th year, my cabinets are overflowing with instruments, and it has been such a progression to watch. Across our 10 elementary schools, all of our kindergarten through 5th grade students have 2 performance opportunities. These performances this year included concerts, piano recitals, ukulele showcases, Titan Fam event, 2nd grade musicals, and informances, a time where families can be immersed into the music classroom with their students. One of the amazing opportunities our kids have is learning how to read music and play instruments at a young age. They don't have to wait for middle school band anymore. All of our 3rd graders across the district have learned how to play the recorder. Our 4th graders have learned how to play the keyboard, and all of our 5th grade students have learned how to play the ukulele. Keeping it the same across the district also helps when students are moving. They know what to expect, and they are still learning the same instrument. In addition to learning in the classroom, students at several elementary schools have gotten the opportunity to join music and piano clubs. Our students are thriving in the music room, and they are hungry for more opportunities. This summer, we will be offering our first ever elementary music camp, which is only a few students away from already being at capacity. Since we have expanded our elementary music program, both our middle school band and choir programs have grown. We are seeing more students coming into 6th grade wanting to continue their music education, which is a huge testament to our program. Our students are getting to experience both performance and learning opportunities that just a few years ago were unobtainable. Their confidence is growing, their love of music is growing, and the best part is that our kids are flourishing. Our music rooms are giving our youngest students a safe place to express themselves. 4 years later, and our elementary music program is almost unrecognizable. I look forward to seeing where the program goes from here. Thank you.
That's a lot of really cool stuff at the elementary level. At the middle school level, I came here to work at Longfellow. At the beginning of last school year, and I had a 5-year plan. I have already been able to accomplish almost everything on that 5-year plan in 2 years, thanks to the administrative support I've gotten from you guys and from our building principals. We have a steel band at Southview. Both Southview and Longfellow have begun competing at the OMEA large group events. All 3 middle schools have sent students to solo and ensemble contests. We have been able to coordinate a middle school band night as well as the summer middle school band camp, which is going to show a massive increase in recruitment and retention to the high school level. We've also started string offerings at all 3 middle schools, so we're teaching students string instruments again, which used to be a robust program in Lorain. We've also made good use of the Lorain City Schools endowment grants. Mrs. Herzl at Longfellow took a group of students to participate and see Anne Juliet, and then they got to talk to some of the cast members from that production. I was able to secure a grant to take my students to Music in the Parks, where they performed for rating, and then they spent the day at Cedar Point together, and they had an absolute blast doing that. We also were able to bring in some guest artists to the Arts Fest on March 8th, which was the Land Brass Band. And I got some quotes I wanted to share. One of my students, with regards to adjudicated events, said, "It makes the process worth it because we got to do stuff with our friends at Cedar Point and got to make long-lasting memories with them." And some of those students are now planning on participating in a high school band that didn't. The contests themselves didn't make me think of music differently, but being in band class definitely did. Although I had a few ups and downs in the process of learning all the music pieces, it was definitely worth the months of practice. Everything has a purpose, and I truly mean it when I said being in band was one of the best experiences I could have had in 8th grade before joining high school band. And then with regards to the Land Brass Band, I had students just exclaim, "That's the best band I've ever heard." They said it right in front of him. It was really fun to hear. And another student has a strong interest in playing jazz now. So we're developing a momentum at the middle school level that it's been amazing, frankly, and I think Mr. Terhune over the next few years is going to see a massive influx not only of numbers, but in the quality of students and what he's going to be able to attain with the band. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Terhune to talk about what's going on at the high school.
Good evening, everyone. So you've heard from some of our high school students earlier this year and their experiences, but I just want to share some other things we've had going on at Lorain High this year that have been just really wonderful for our students and their experiences. Increased visibility at county and district events, that's OMEA, that's Lorain County, and an increased use of guest artists. We had visit us this year Dr. Matthew James from Ohio University. He brought his entire jazz ensemble here. Dr. Antoine Clark showed up as a guest conductor to work with our students. We got to travel to Cleveland State to work with Dr. Birch Browning. All these experiences add up to a greater result for our students. 52% increase in student enrollment, and personally seeing students being more actively engaged in the music classroom. I think I really noticed it this year during second semester, a lot more buy-in from all of our wonderful students. The addition of more music courses at Lorain High School, I'm just so excited about because it's going to add more on-ramps for our students. So maybe if a student didn't get a chance to learn an instrument in middle school, maybe they're coming from a school, or maybe that's not offered, they can have that opportunity to be involved. I can tell you, you heard from a student earlier this year, Hannah Pruitt, who received a $6,000 scholarship to go to Cleveland State to continue playing in their band. I received an email from an alumni the other day, Madison Jones, who is at Kent right now. And she went to Kent as, I think, an undecided major, decided to change her major to music education. She's playing piccolo in the orchestra there. She's a section leader in the marching band and is really just continuing to be a leader. All these things that are happening are a result of our fine arts expansion and just the wonderful opportunities students have been given. I can tell you that many alumni just in the past couple weeks have been reaching out saying, "Hey, can I get more involved in the community for music education? Can I come help out with band camp? Can I help out with the middle school camp?" I just think it's a really exciting time for Lorain City Schools and our wonderful students. I'd like to thank the Board of Ed. I'd like to thank all administration for your wonderful support with all this, because it's a community award, and without the community, it wouldn't be possible. So thank you.
So I was going to tap out, but I wanted to say one more thing. I know music is fun and it's great, and the fact that we're spending a lot of time and effort on this is not just for fun. We're seeing elementary students develop empathy and teamwork, and I see that at the middle school level already as they come in 6th grade. I see my middle school students care more about their attendance, they care more about their grades, they care more about staying out of trouble so that they can participate in these programs. And then I see at the high school level students thinking about college and where they're going to go to college and setting foot on campuses like that picture right there at CSU, where they get to see these universities that maybe they would have never visited if it wasn't for a concert they were giving there. So what we're doing for our students is fun, but the product of the action of making music and making music together is developing better students for Lorain. And if they never play an instrument again after graduation, this this program and what we're doing is serving our students in ways that will impact them the rest of their lives. And I think we'll start to see it as a district in our numbers with regards to math scores, attendance, discipline issues. I think those things will start to go down. Actually, there's tons of research that shows that. So stay the course, please. We really appreciate this, and you will see more than just blossoming music programs. You're going to see wonderful human beings coming out of Lorain schools. Not that there aren't already, but we'll see more of them. So appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for so many things. Obviously, it's not just about opportunities, it's about quality opportunities. And I want to thank you for bringing to the table what you do. I've watched you guys with the kids, and I agree, not only they eating it up, but the quality relationships that they're establishing that they otherwise would not have had a chance to. So thank you for your mentorship, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for putting us in a position where we are recognized nationally. So thank you, thank you.
Photo time?
Yep, come on, everybody please come on up, get a picture taken, then you can make a run for it. Everybody.
Students, staff, Ballard.
I'm coming.
Oh, you're good, Bob. There we go. Everybody else, come on, picture taken.
Family too?
Time to celebrate family.
Proud family.
There we go.
One, two, three.
So again, this is the part of the board meeting where we conduct business. You don't obligate to stay. You can get out the board stuff there. But thank you for coming. Yeah, we'll refer once again to Mr. May, Mr. Scott.
With their 4 slides. Parameters.
We good?
Actually, let me start real quick. And again, I want to thank everybody for the process that we followed. Again, we have great relationships with our teachers. We have many, many committees that we work on together, DLT, BLT, PBIS, MTSS, always come to the table with a voice, and this process was no different. We had a bunch of teachers volunteer, some administrators volunteer to be a part of this. I would argue that, and actually we had a couple board members who were part of it, and I would argue that there was conversation, as it should have been, was driven mostly by teachers. We agreed to a lot of things, and I'm not sure actually if we disagreed on anything. I'm looking, but I don't think we did. We agreed that there was some confusion. We agreed that there were a lot of supports, but folks did not know how to access them as easily as they should have. And there were gaps in our practices, and there were gaps in our expectations. So mostly what we did is figured out how to be better at those things. But again, driven by teachers, and it was nice to see conversations that were focused on not only what's best for children and education, but to do it in a way that was so collaborative. So again, I want to applaud our folks in the audience, and we're having a conversation before the board meeting in policy about relationships and how well we work together. And we've come a long way in a short period of time, but it's, to me, like the ultimate compliment. And I don't talk much in those meetings, I listen and then try to guide and direct a little bit. But it's nice to see the level of trust that has to exist for processes like this to be able to not only be created, but I think that there's confidence, at least in that room, that it will be implemented. So I just want to say thank you to our teachers and to the admin who are part of that. Thanks for volunteering, and I think Ross started every meeting with thanks for giving up part of your day to come hang out with us because this is important. So I will defer.
All right.
But again, thank you.
Thank you. So we'll do, for those that are on the team that are here, we'll do just a little context stuff, and then you guys want to come up a little bit when we get to the statement. Does that work? In a minute? All right, so Drew, you mind going to the next one? So just, we wanted to very, very briefly just just show a few graphs that what we're going through here in Lorain is not unique. And we recognize that COVID was an extremely challenging time. Coming out of COVID has been a challenging time. These trends also started to show before COVID. So these are some graphs from Jonathan Haidt. He's a researcher. He wrote the book Anxious Generation. And he's looked at mental health across the world. And so what we've got here, the percent of teens with major depression in the top left, it's United States. But this is also happening in Canada, it's happening in Australia, it's happening in the United Kingdom, it's happening all over the world. The kids are not all right with mental health. And it does not mean that lets us here in Lorain off the hook. Not at all. But it does mean that we need to be cognizant of the larger picture and do whatever it takes to interrupt it. So that's just the very, very brief context here that I think matters. Drew, can you go to the next one? So as Jeff said, we had multiple meetings with actually a few different groups. And initially, we had a larger group, primarily of LEA members and a few building leaders. And from there, we really nailed down what our needs are. So some of the big things that we identified from those sessions were we do have some students with some really challenging behaviors, some intense behaviors, some harmful behaviors towards themselves and towards others, and with violence, with eloping, that we needed to have tighter procedures on. Early elementary and kindergarten especially really stood out. Some elementary encore settings rose to being a level of concern. Some students with disabilities with the most extreme behaviors. We had some confusion around communication with roles, procedures, and tools with our different personnel groups and which tools we were supposed to be using. And one of the big themes throughout is our staff is saying, look, we need more training. We need help. We're not trying to throw kids away. We just need more help. So those were the main needs that we were able to identify. So from there, then, our groups evolved a bit. Andrew, you want to go to the next one? And after several sessions, again, Jeff described earlier, where we landed is a statement here. And so I'll read the statement, and then we're going to talk in a little greater depth about some of the items here. So after a thorough review of behavior concerns with the Lorain Education Association, LEA, Lorain Administration Association, LAA, District Administration, and Board of Education representatives, our collaborative team has implemented a comprehensive action plan. We convened multiple sessions on 12/17, 3/12, 4/10, 4/17, 5/1, 5/15, and 5/20 to analyze the issues and develop targeted solutions. While the group evolved throughout the dates, LEA and LAA members worked with central office members and 2 board members to develop this plan. We recognize that the work is ongoing and not a quick fix. We as a group attempted to address all concerns that apply to all levels and did emphasize early elementary as the most concerns were related to early elementary. We heard the staff desires to expand our current alternative school and or open a new alternative school. Our plan does not include expanding or opening a new alternative school at this time. As a result of these collaborative efforts, we, 1, developed a comprehensive behavior support flow chart that clearly outlines intervention procedures and ongoing student support pathways. 2, clarified the roles and responsibilities of all support staff based on feedback gathered from various stakeholder groups, ensuring efficient coordination and delivery of services. 3, scheduled a series of professional development sessions beginning with summer training and continuing throughout the school year, focusing on evidence-based behavior management strategies, including Crisis Prevention Institute, trauma-informed practices, Reggio Emilia practices for kindergarten, and the use of Panorama as a tool for staff to use. 4, we recommend implementing a balanced approach integrating both structured and unstructured play in the learning environment. This will require flexibility from school staff, particularly during soft openings, post-lunch periods, and soft closings. 5, recommend the hiring of additional behavior coach to provide specialized guidance for staff. 6, recommend the hiring of paraprofessionals so that each kindergarten classroom has a dedicated full-time paraprofessional. 7, clarified procedures for students who display behaviors where the safety of the student and other students is at risk, using logical consequences that follow Ohio law and Lorain City Schools Code of Conduct. We believe these measures represent a thoughtful, systematic approach to addressing behavior concerns while creating a supportive environment for all students and staff. We welcome the board's feedback as we continue to refine and implement these initiatives. So at this time, I'd like to invite Tammy and Christine and Amy, Julie, So active members of the group that developed this talk in a little greater depth about a few items here from our plan.
And while they're coming up, note that, life happens for a couple of the members too that did plan on showing their involvement and they couldn't make it. So there were a couple other teachers that told us today that they weren't going to be able to join us.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Hello, good evening. And so I'm going to just speak to the importance of leaders having clarity about staff roles. Because that is very important, because a lot of times you hear, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Is that something I'm supposed to be doing? Then the path and the lines get blurred, and then people have a tendency to start overstepping each other. And so I just have some quick talking points about that importance. So having clarity in roles, ensure that responsibilities are distributed appropriately, minimizing overlapping and confusion. So when everyone knows their roles, tasks are completed faster and more effectively, allowing for the school to run a little bit smoothly. It also strengthens accountability. So clear roles make it easier to measure performance and have accountability for your staff. This creates a culture of responsibility and professional growth, which directly benefits students. It enhances collaboration. So when staff understand their own roles and those of their colleagues, because we spoke to having a behavior coach and also having a paraprofessional in the classroom, for kindergarten, collaboration becomes more strategic and less fragmented, and teams can complement each other's work versus duplicating it. It also can increase and improve staff morale, okay, because you start feeling confident about what you're doing, because I hear a lot being admin, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I was told this by one person, I was told this by the next person, what am I supposed to be doing? So now if you have more clarity in the roles, they feel confident, secure, and about what they're doing. It reduces burnout and frustration. And then ultimately, it supports student success. So the goal is why we did this, to have student achievement in mind. And when adults in the school system are clear on who is doing what, they can respond more quickly to student needs and maintain a consistent, supportive environment. So as school leaders, our responsibility is not only to set the vision, but ensure our teams are equipped to execute it. That begins with absolute clarity around roles, and when every educator knows their purpose and how it aligns with our mission for Lorain City Schools, we can build a school culture that is coherent, focused, and driven by impact.
Who's next?
Sorry, I'm a little bit on the short side. I have a couple, I apologize, I'm trying to help out Anna Bowerman that also was on the committee with us. She couldn't be here today, so I kind of doing two. But I was asked to speak about the structure of the day. We're looking at doing a soft opening and a soft closing. So I was asked to kind of share what that would be. For the elementary, it will be a little bit, it'll look different than middle school and high school, since we don't have block schedulings and that type of thing. But what we're doing is starting, for example, from 8 to 8:30 in the morning, we call it a soft opening, 2 to 2:30 in the afternoon, soft closing. In the middle of the day, we have 30 minutes of true play, recess. Not, it took you 10 minutes to put your hat on, your coat on, and we got outside, so now we're down to 20. Studies have shown that play equals happiness for children, that play should be self-initiated and self-controlled, that play is freedom from adult control, that emotional breakdowns decrease when there's time to have true play. Students feel independence, they build their confidence, and students are happier, they're more successful into adulthood. So we thought about the whys, and in order to have basic needs met for your health, mental health, you need autonomy, you need competence, and you need relatedness. And we need to bring that normal childhood back to children So many children are directed every day what to do. They don't have time to make their own choices, their own decisions. So what this time would give them and the benefits of it, they will be able to come in a little calmer. They're not as rushed. Something happened at home. You're a few minutes late. It's okay. It gives them time to come in to calm down. That child that has a problem, maybe with that separation, it's okay. They have the time to calm down. You can, and just because it is soft opening, I do this in my classroom every morning and every afternoon, and it's a lot easier, I will be honest, it is a lot easier to do in the morning. In the afternoon, your day gets going and you're like, oh no, I'm missing. But it looks like this. They come in my room, they eat breakfast. And they can sit wherever they want with their breakfast. They can talk to a friend, just like we all talked up until the minute this meeting started. They get to share ideas. They can pick a game. They can play Connect Four. They can do Jenga. They can play War. There's a lot of different activities. I'm working on adding more activities so that we can maybe have something along the line. I would like to add more art. I have some art, but some more art, maybe some dancing. I even talked about maybe like an exercise area. But we also want to encourage no screen time. Screen time is up so much, and it's becoming the big problem. I mean, that's the huge cloud hanging over. We are not talking. Kids are coming to school. I have first graders. They don't know how to hold a pencil or crayon or scissors. So let them. So we're really trying to do this, and they're learning. They're learning to talk to each other. They're learning to communicate with each other. They're learning in these soft starts and start closings that they can play a game and they can lose, and it's okay. They congratulate each other. Things that they couldn't do, like puzzles, they're doing them faster and quicker. And what they are, this is all part of learning. So we are just trying to bring back what children are missing. And all of it will help with the social emotional of children. So here are some of the benefits, and I wrote them down so I don't mess it up. The benefits of doing play and letting kids enjoy themselves and make choices for themselves. It reduces anxiety. It helps students who struggle with separation from caregivers or have anxiety about the day ahead calm. It smooths the transition from home to school, especially for your neurodivergent children. It builds a classroom community, time for gentle peer interactions and connections with a teacher before structured learning begins. I know Ross May came into my room the other day, and he got to see it doesn't always go perfectly. Kids have some, they have confrontations or little disagreements, but they come over, and my job is to try to help them solve it themselves. Beginning of the year, we had kids that would spill milk and they would stare at it. And now the kids they know what to do and others help them. Little things. Encourages collaborative play and social skill development, improves focus and readiness to learn. It allows children time to wake up mentally and emotionally, leading to better engagement in their lessons. It minimizes the rush and stress of that immediate academic demand, like walking in, and I was guilty of this for many years. Walking in and there's work right in the bucket. Get that morning work done, go ahead. Don't spill your breakfast on it. And it lets students choose from a variety of tasks supporting autonomy and intrinsic motivation. And it really has made a difference in my classroom this year. I have been able to see the benefits of it. I feel like this year I probably have the best attendance I've had in years. And I'm not saying it's because of this, but I'm not gonna say it's not. So the kids are coming in, they're prompt, they wanna play the newest games that I bring out, the newest activities, and their social skills are becoming better. I hear them cheering for each other more. And our overall goal is that, yes, we're taking away, people are gonna say we're taking away learning time, but we're hoping that by giving them back time to be a kid and to play, that when we are having that structured learning time, they're more able to focus, they're more able to be involved. They'll ask questions, and we'll see great results. So that was my job to tell you guys. Now, I will tell you, middle school and high school, we are doing it. It will look differently, but they're same with them. The middle school and high school, we need that calm start, calm ending to give them a break from the racing down the hallway and getting into class before the bell rings. So it might look different, and that will be for those teachers to discuss. Okay?
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, thank you, Amy.
I just want to echo what Dr. Graham said about, we were part of that process, and we tried to stay out of the way. I think Dr. Ballard more successfully than myself. But the conversations were so open and honest and focused that it was just a great process from start to finish. And Mr. May and Mr. Scott, thank you for your leadership and guidance in that whole process, and I'm encouraged by the results.
Thank you.
First hearing of the public.
I have a quick question. Can I quickly?
Sure.
So that's an hour and a half, though, out of the day? So 30, 30, and 30, just I wrote it down, if I wrote it down correctly. 8 to 8:30?
About, yeah.
Yes.
2
Yes.
to
Yeah,
2:30?
yeah. Yep,
Okay.
yep, yep.
Do you want to share the information you had on lunch, how much actual recess time we get?
Yeah, so it varies, but we had a number of staff say that by the time kids actually get done eating lunch, if they're going outside, they got to put a coat on and then clean up and then come back in, that instead of getting a full 30 minutes, some cases it's 10 minutes. And so by the time they get out, they just get started to come back in. It's more frustrating than anything else. And that we need more protected, I mean, I think Amy said it well, protected time in the middle of the day for kids to be able to be kids and play.
And it's not out of the day, it's just different use of time during the day.
Correct. Right.
And a lot of research supports that when you do that, the rest of your day is so much more productive
Right.
that you're not losing time. And behaviors improve, attendance improves. I mean, there's just strong correlations between this. And it was in the book that we referenced a couple of times and shared it in these meetings. Kids used to be raised by play and through play. And that was how we've developed. Now they're being raised by computers and iPads. And as a result, you see that chart that was up there originally, mental health issues, especially among our children, are through the roof. Just exponential growth. So we shouldn't be surprised that our children have different needs, more related to trauma, mental health issues that are not quick fixes. So we need to make sure that our staff has not just a toolbox full of tools, we'll work on the PD part as we mentioned, but also other folks to help them with those tools and provide supports in a way that's more productive than what happened this year. We identified a number of areas where we had the right people, the right tools, but we didn't connect the two very well because of bad processes that we believe we have ironed out through a pretty ugly flow chart at this point, but we can share it. But we'll make it prettier and a little easier to read, but I think we agree with the process.
Yep.
Collectively agree.
And unstructured time, as Amy indicated, will look different at middle school and high school. So if you hear the number, like what was projected as a possibility at the elementary, obviously takes on a different beast at the middle school and the high school, right? But that's where structured play might increase as well. So, our students like to debate. That could be considered. There's a gradual release there. There's many different ways, but we want to bring, like we have done in the past. So let's say with COVID planning, we brought groups of folks together to kind of say, hey, how do we figure this out? Knowing that here are the marks that we need to meet. The same thing applies for this. So in regards to innovation, this idea of bringing that into all levels is important, but it's going to look, and even from a time standpoint, feel different. But when I left, I was a middle school principal in Lorain City Schools for 4.5 years, and we didn't have like a recess prescribed. We had opposite lunch. We called it, at that point, I think it was Eagle Challenge or whatever it was called. We had an opportunity to engage in whether it was enrichment, but teams had the autonomy to kind of decide what they wanted to do. So there were times when the weather permitted that folks got out and did some things. Other times we did some remediation or enrichment. So I think giving some of that control back to, but just like this was a listening session, we'll have to create those groups and then, try some things, see what works,
do more
come back
of it.
to
If
the
it doesn't work,
playbook.
stop doing it.
So I don't believe that this is an end for this group to continue the meeting, and if it has to evolve like it has continued, there's opportunities there. But I just did want to put out for all of us, like, we have shown, and I think I said this last board meeting, we have shown over time that we can get together into spaces and do some things that are right by students and staff alike. This is just the immediate challenge facing us before, but we've had those challenges over the last, 4 going on 5 years. And we've been able to meet some marks on some things too, and I'm hopeful that this continues to be the approach that we take.
And I hope everybody realizes that with unstructured or structured play, there's learning going on. It's not just, we're just digging in the dirt. We're finding out things, and part of the Reggio and what we used to have Montessori. There's a lot of learning that happens.
Can I add to this, or were you going to
No, I have
do this
something else.
conversation?
Go ahead.
Do you mind?
No?
Okay. I hate to be the negative person, but I do have questions. This comes as a joint statement, but, and we do, Dr. Graham did say, we're working on the flow chart. I am concerned that this does sound like there is a plan, there is procedures, it references, and I personally don't know what that is right now.
Can you pull
I
up?
like what I heard now. I do think it's important for the kids to come in, and we don't say, bell work or get busy. Those things I think, help our kiddos get a good start for the day. I think same thing, reason why I was against uniforms, why I am against cell phone bags, because I don't want us to police kids as soon as they walk in the doors. But I don't feel we have a plan, or if we do have a plan, I don't know what that is right now. And I feel like that's what I am hearing from parents and educators both, is we want to know X, Y, Z. What happens what do we do when this happens? What happens, and I know things are different versus if a child might have an IEP or something like that, 504, but what are the consequences?
Consequences are all outlined in the code of conduct.
And we follow them?
Subjectively, yeah. Yeah, if Jay does something and Courtney does something, it could be the same thing. If Jay's done it 6 times and Courtney's never been in trouble before, it would be handled differently. If there are sometimes there are just a lot of circumstances to go into it. It's not typically as cut and dry as X then Y. Well, I think Ross is trying to pop up the flow chart to kind of, so again, if consequences was your question, I think that's our actually, that's board approved, board directed, that's what we follow. But in terms of how we get from unhealthy behaviors to healthy behaviors,
Yeah.
I can't see that.
So I think there are a couple things first. So one of the things that we identified through our meetings is that we don't have good understanding of what is to be classroom managed versus office managed behavior. So this is, I think, and you'll see it, I mean, it's on our flow chart, but this is something that we've had now for several years, but we have not done a good enough job of being clear and supportive on what is office managed versus classroom managed. So this is foundational to make sure that we're clear across all of our staff who's responsible for what. And then our flow chart, and again, this is in draft form, but conceptually, where we are here, is that just working from the top left, is that we have to reset clear understanding of what's classroom managed versus office managed behavior. And then when we look at how we communicate, one of the things that we recognize is we have to do a much better job partnering with our families. And when we look at our office referral data, the overwhelming majority of our referrals do not have some type of family involvement. So we'll have a lot of referrals, but the overwhelming majority do not have family involvement. And so we had a discussion about how we connect with families. And one of the things that we realized is that we use technology a lot. It's easy to text. It's easy to use Classroom Dojo. But we don't, when we look at and just talked about how our staff is connecting and partnering with families, we've got some work to do a better job meeting face-to-face or with a phone call to have a conversation with them. So we want to be able to partner with our families and not either just not have that good partnership or working around them, or we're working with the families after the fact. So as soon as we have a presenting challenge, we want to make sure that we're partnering with our families and in a face-to-face or phone call type of a setting. So underneath that then, and just weekly, our staff is meeting. We call them C3 teams, but it's the collaborative team for our staff to get together to design, to plan instruction, problem solve together. And one of the things that we realized is that especially the elementary schools, our counselors are used differently in each of the schools. And we do have excellent counselors who are very skilled. Well, you heard them a few months ago. In several of the schools, though, the counselors are later down the line in when they get involved in supporting our staff to design instruction and designing the environment that meets kids' needs. So we need to be quicker on a lot of fronts. So we need to be quicker in helping our staff design instruction so that we're not looking at just a behavior problem, but we're looking at how can we adjust the environment for the kid to be more successful. And our counselors are really uniquely qualified to do that. So we need to have them more involved earlier on with our staff when they're designing instruction. We also recognized that we did not have clear procedures delineated for when we need to intervene quicker around if we have a student that is causing harm to themselves or causing harm to others and their safety concerns. So from there, we also, if we have a student that is presenting significant safety concerns, that we need to be much quicker in developing a safety plan. So you'll notice we've got our green arrows going off that right now. One side that says, yeah, look, we've got some environmental concerns that we need to make adjustments with here. Let's involve our counselor. And on the safety side of things, if we need to be much quicker because we've got some concerns, let's do that. And then we begin our interventions right away, and then in both cases. And that would signify for us Tier 2, which is then a more intense level of intervention. Another thing that we recognized and learned from our staff in a couple different groups is that we have very mixed implementation of the tool Panorama. Panorama is a tool that we invested in 2 years ago in a small scale. We tried it at the high school first, actually at Success Academy, and then at the high school, and then with our principals, our counselors. And some of our schools are using it well. Others just aren't to the point of using it yet. They all need to be, and will be going forward. So in a couple weeks here when we start our professional development, and then in August for all staff, and throughout the course of the year next year, Panorama, it combines several data sources for us into one place so we can see students' academic scores, and we can also see their response on the social emotional learning survey, actually the ones our students just completed last week. And it also brings in our attendance data for the students. If the student has had a removal, a suspension, or emergency removal, that's in there as well. And it also allows us to have access to interventions targeted to the specific area of need and a way to collect data that's embedded right there in one place. And we have scattered implementation of that, and that needs to be our house for all of that information. So our teams need to be empowered to use that. We need to have a regular review. So when we have interventions that we've designed, that we're reviewing and revising if necessary. Then you'll see, again, we've got FBA, BIP, so all kind of edges speak here, but functional behavior assessment. So where we figure out if we need to get to that point, like what's the real cause going on that's triggering that behavior, and then BIP stands for Behavior Intervention Plan. And then connect with agency supports underneath that. And then you see different staff groups on the right. So one of our action items about 6 weeks ago was to survey our staff that have some role in supporting student behavior. And so we asked our behavior coaches and our wellness coaches and our counselors and our special education supervisors and our school psychologists and our safety officers, our SCOs, anybody that has some type of role in student behavior, like, how's it going, in short? And the responses were pretty similar, that everybody's spread thin, that they're trying to put out fires. And when we looked at all the responses, they really overlapped each other a lot. So what we recognize, we need to be much clearer about who's doing what. So our behavior coaches can't be running all over school to school trying to intervene with individual kids. We'll never have enough behavior coaches to do that. But their role, by design, needs to be to work and help support our staff around behavior, to develop environments, to recognize sensory needs, to recognize intervals for breaks that kids may need, and to make adjustments that way. Not to run around and to work with an individual kid or be the intervention for an individual child. It's not their purpose. But that's also our fault for not being clear about how they should be used and providing that, that support and guidance. So wellness coaches doing very similar work as behavior coaches currently. They shouldn't be. They need to be doing mentoring work. They need to be helping our students get reacclimated to the school environment if a student has to have been removed through a suspension or an expulsion. Our special education supervisors have been spending a large amount of their time going to every single IEP meeting. They don't need to go to every single IEP meeting. They have exceptionally good skills in consulting with staff, coaching our staff. They need to be able to do that, and they need to be able to prioritize more time around helping support and lead functional behavior assessments and development of behavior plans. But the way that they're currently used, it doesn't really free them up to have that level of expertise and targeted support where we need it best. So all that to say that our school leaders need to be supported then to know we've got behavior. So this is why on the right side, behavior coach, wellness coach, special ed supervisor, school psychologist are there so that they can help coordinate those services. So we don't have a situation where individual people are all reaching out and saying, I need a behavior coach. Well, they're not available. I need a wellness coach. And then we end up with a really incoherent support as opposed to a really coherent support to help our teachers. And we've got to be much, again, quicker. So we need to connect to how our teams are planning right away. Again, our counselors need to be much more involved on the front end and just much more coherent as a whole with how we provide our supports.
And to be clear, this is not in lieu of consequences, to your point.
Right.
This is parallel with it. So along the way, we have to make sure that we're coaching and developing and not just punishing.
And that was emphasized in the meeting, because originally we had 6 recommendations to present, and then one of the staff members did say, hey, I think we just need to be very transparent that code of conduct, Ohio law will be followed. And we said, yeah, of course. So even including that, number 7 was with intentionality to make sure that we're not saying all of these things are happening in lieu of consequences. So
Ross,
thank
you
Dr. Graham, for
used
bringing
the term putting out fires, and I think what we looked at was preventing fires.
Correct.
Was the
Good way of saying
focus.
it. Yeah, correct. Yep.
I have one, the panorama,
Mhm.
you mentioned that they just took the quiz, the students just survey.
Survey, yeah.
Will that information follow them to next year?
That does, yeah.
It does, okay.
Yep, that does. Yep.
Will there be any behavior or any grades or any of that? Will teachers be able to see that as well?
So the grades do. The incident does. The description of the incident does not in Panorama, and so we can see it. But what we don't want, and this was a decision we made a few years ago with our PBIS team, is for students to get to high school and they've got a rap sheet from kindergarten that follows them all the way through.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Sandra Peliquin. I heard wonderful things here. I think it's a really good, but my question is, I'm an elementary land teacher. I'm especially new. I don't have the tools in my toolbox like, say, Amy does. Where are the funds coming for this? When are the teachers going to be notified? Like, there's only 8 days left of school. I need to be notified. I'm that kind of teacher, and I think all teachers are reflective, and we're constantly incubating. I might not be sitting down there cutting things out in my living room, but I'm constantly thinking of things and looking for ideas. I heard the wonderful things about the music program, which are, incredible. She said when she went there were some broken sticks and that's it. Well, they weren't taking ukulele lessons and piano lessons on no funds. So, where's that coming? Our school's going to have a bank of games to pull out and switch out. This costs money. It does take money. And, you're going to have some new teachers coming in. They're, not going to be a lot of money there going. They're paying student loans. They're going to need, that supports the teachers as well. Not just the behaviors of the children, but the teachers need that as well. So I just hope that you guys have talked about that and know where that's coming from.
Yep, thank you. We would not create expectations without support.
So do we have a budget? I mean, are we gonna work on a budget?
We're still
to
finishing up
give
this stuff, but yes.
Them?
Yeah, and a lot of stuff is low cost. Playing outside does not
Yeah.
So
cost
their morning
much.
No, that's recess, but the morning and the after, and Amy has been a teacher. We're so lucky to have her experience and to be a teacher.
Yes,
And
agreed.
a great teacher. But we know that we had so many teachers retire, and we're bringing in a lot of new teachers.
Yep.
So they come in with nothing.
Yeah, so part of that is we are revamping how we bring our staff in, and so part of that we want to have our behavior coaches work with our new staff on what that classroom environment looks like. So what unstructured play looks like, how we transition from one activity to another during the structured instructional time. So that we look at, to your point, I mean, we'll be hiring 50-some teachers. We've
Right.
already hired a number of them.
Right.
To make sure that we've got that connection all on the way.
May I, just from my shared experience, I have a 7 and 8-year-old at home that experience unstructured play at times. And one of the things that I was asked as a parent was to have a indoor recess bag. There were parameters around that, but students got to bring in certain things of their own. I think we can get into a space and have some creative thoughts around that. Also, it was mentioned earlier, the power of the endowment grant. We talked about that as a group too, and I know that's usually later released, but when we're still thinking about those things, those are pieces. We also discussed in the meeting, we have a policy on crowdfunding and getting that community support and engagement. One of the first steps is presenting the idea, and I mean, a lot of our teachers, if I were to ask you how many, follow that policy and do those things, we do have a lot of staff members that do that as well. I think there's a collaboration, and the schools still have budgets, so really talking to how we reallocate and direct some dollars.
Okay.
But, there is part of this that is the lived experience too. So yes, while I think the mention was, there's 8 days left to do this process, you saw the dates, it does take some time, and we are in a different crunch, and bringing people in the summer, when we bring people in to talk about things, we follow the contract in regards to the non-instructional rate and paying people for their labor and preparation. Another thing around new teachers, we have new hires that have new hire orientation, but then also aren't they assigned a mentor of sorts too? So there's work there to support, and once again, we'll just have to continue to lean in and be better, right? Yeah.
And
Yeah,
by
no,
coincidence.
I think those are very
Yep,
valid
yep.
points that we want to hear. I just wanted to give some of those responses because we had those in our pocket as part of the conversation, because the representation did matter, and those were some of the things that were brought up. And just like in our time together, those things that were brought up came up. And then, I do believe 100% that with our families, we could partner with them with some clear expectations on what unstructured play could look like and what they could bring in to add to that classroom as long as they got it back and things of that nature. And there's times where eventually you get tired of doing this, so the bag has to change. But that's just one of the ideas on the table from my lived experience that has been pretty cool. That way the kids also get engaged with other kids, so we're really teaching them hey, this is how you share toys, your toys or your games, and that's not just for the littles. I think the middle school kids have those same experiences because I saw kids playing adult Jenga when I was a middle school principal and adult Connect Four, those, and I like that. So if we gave them that opportunities, I just think what I've learned from this experience is when we get into spaces and have real, true communication and collaboration, which is two-way, which is also meaning, hey, we can get into space and really get messy and try to figure this out. Some good things can come from it. And I'm going to invite you in too because you had some points about how to fund this and things of that nature.
Well, what I was going to say is, you're absolutely right. We're not expressing everything that we talked about in all 7 meetings I think we had. But we talked about doing maybe a make it, take it, getting grade levels together with ideas.
Can you explain that to those that may not understand what a make it, take it is?
A make it, take it is pretty much what it sounds like. We come in and we bring ideas, maybe some materials, and we would share different ideas on something. And I shared with the group. I have tic-tac-toe boards. I literally made them out of cardboard. Marker, and in the fall I brought in leaves and acorns. And they played tic-tac-toe with leaves and acorns. And then I changed it. I had I had ice cream, snowballs, those cotton snowballs. And in the wintertime we did it with, and just change it out. Building, a lot of us, we have manipulatives left over from, the last 6 math programs we've had. And you can, and you can build with them.
Some of those are almost 8 years old.
But I'm just saying, there are materials in our classroom that we can use. And there are just, things, but you're right. But I don't think it's something that we should make anyone overwhelmed by. It's not that type of this slow opening and slow closing. A lot of teachers already do it. I mean, we have teachers in my building that do it all the time. I'm not unique in any way, shape, or form with this. But we also have some that do others, that, do the other way, come in and start your morning work. And it's just like anything else, you can progress and add more things. At the beginning of the year, I didn't have as many choices as I do now, And you have to, it's just like when you teach all your daily routines and structures and stuff of your classroom, you teach them how to use the materials and how to put the materials back. So when I say now, it's time to clean up, we're getting ready to start, and everybody just starts moving and they put their stuff together, and they know when they're done, they're on the carpet and it's just, once it becomes a daily routine, they really do get it. And one thing I was reminded about by my friend Miss Lindsay over there is she asked me about recess, and recess is, the group that we put together, I think unanimously agreed, it should never be used as a consequence. Like it's not.
Thank you.
Recess is recess, and that kid that in your classroom that might be causing some trouble might be the one that needs that recess the most.
Yep.
So, maybe it's maybe a little talk time sometime during the day, but you gotta let them roll. All right.
I'm going to add to what Amy said. Thank you. For the new teachers, because we all remember what that's like when you're broke and you don't have any money. So what we do, the LEA, we ask our retired teachers to donate any supplies that they have that we can use, and we give them to the new teachers at our new teacher luncheon. So they are getting a little bit of support, some of those old manipulatives, bulletin board things like that. So we do put that out for them, so they have that opportunity. Also, as I bragged often, LEA has money, so if we need to buy kids recess bags, we can do that. So take me up on my offer.
I think that's a great idea.
All right. Anything else? Oh, and somebody asked me about, it was mentioned that the elementary schools were going to be getting quiet rooms, I can't remember, think of it, sensory rooms, exactly. Do we know the status of any of that?
Linda Code, who's not here to represent that, has been working. Her and some special education supervisors, along with others, have worked on the previous renditions of that, and they are working with the school leaders and things of that nature, I believe, moving forward, so that those can be in place. I think her last update to me, a couple weeks ago, that order was in, things are moving forward, but I don't want to talk out of turn completely about that, but that ball was moving. And then obviously there's the communication of what it is and what it isn't, that is just as important as having the space. because it could be just as damaging if the perception is the room is for this and we're using it for this. So to me, like the big takeaway from all of this too is just increased clarity around the resources, whether it's humans or spaces. We just have to be clear on those. But those are, for the elementaries, we should have outfitted spaces for all 10 by the start of next school year. That was the objective, and I just don't want to speak out of turnout for that right now. But we'll follow up.
And based on how you asked the question, you might be asking a different question, if it's coming through you. A quiet space, I know something else came up was a space where if a child is unruly, a place where that child can be until that child is regulated to a point where it's appropriate to go back.
Yeah.
So we're looking at those as well.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But the sensory room piece was, there's a proactive piece of that where it's not just a space where regulation can occur, but, they're brought in there to learn specifically how to apply certain strategies and how to use certain tools. And then sometimes there is just overstimulation, so that might be an appropriate place. We just have to make sure that we're all clear. The idea is to make sure we have the spaces, and then that everyone that is responsible for helping students access those spaces have them. So we'll be talking with, in my mind, the counselors will be a huge part of that conversation. Yes, the school leaders will be a part of that. And then the other outside agencies that help support us during the day should also have a familiarity with our spaces too, because just like we teach, and this is cliche, so bear with me though, but just like we explicitly teach reading, writing, math, etc., we also need to help students explicitly learn socialization, regulation, even acts of meditation. I've sent some things to you that has been shared with me from staff members. This is what we're intentionally teaching students, so we have to continue to do that. And that space is just a place to help those lessons be taught. But I will make sure that we have an update from that team, maybe at the next board meeting.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Now are we on to the hearing of the public?
Yes, Ms. Public.
All right. So, Julie Garcia, President of the Lorain Education Association, and I am here with a position statement opposing the changing of the school start times. As dedicated educators committed to the academic success, emotional well-being, and overall development of our students, we, the Lorain Education Association, firmly oppose the proposed changes to school start times. While we acknowledge the intention to improve student outcomes, we believe that altering the established schedule will result in unintended negative consequences, particularly regarding student behavior, academic performance, and family routines. The first one would be disruption of established routines, for the students thrive on consistency and structure. Second, strain on extracurricular participation. Sports clubs and employment opportunities play a crucial role in promoting positive behavior. A revised schedule could restrict students' ability to participate in these structured and enriching after-school activities, leaving more unsupervised idle time that can lead to problematic behavior. Elevated stress and anxiety. For many students, adapting to new schedules, especially when paired with academic and social pressures, can heighten stress and anxiety levels. This emotional toll often manifests as defiance, withdrawal, or classroom disruptions. And finally, after-school programs, club, tutoring sessions, and athletic events rely heavily on teacher involvement. These activities not only build strong relationships and enhance students' academic and social development, but shifting school hours could push the end of the instructional day later, thereby reducing or eliminating the time teachers have available to facilitate or support these crucial programs. Teachers already manage demanding workloads, often using time after school to grade, plan, and communicate with parents. If the school's day ends later, their ability to balance professional responsibilities with personal commitments, such as childcare, secondary employment, or continuing education, will be compromised. This could result in lower teacher morale, reduced willingness to participate in voluntary programs, and ultimately a decline in the quality and availability of after-school opportunities for students. Maintaining the current schedule supports both student enrichment and staff sustainability. For the benefit of well-rounded educational experience and a committed, engaging teaching staff, we strongly advocate for keeping the existing student start and end times unchanged. We urge decision makers to consider the broader implications of changing school start times. The behavioral and logistic challenges that come with the shift may outweigh the intended benefits. Rather than restructuring the school day, we advocate for targeted interventions, such as improved mental health resources, academic support, and community engagement. We also ask that you consider elementary teachers start their day at 8 a.m., not 8:15. I have a plethora of pictures that my staff has sent me that show students in the classroom at 8 o'clock working. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I entertain a motion to approve or amend the minutes of our previous meeting.
So moved.
Do I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Under old business, I'm not sure if this is the right spot, but I'd like to take a minute to recognize and congratulate the 24 Lorain High seniors who actually graduated last Saturday from Lorain Community College. 24 associate's degrees earned by our seniors. In the top 2 or 3 in the county, I've been looking for an update but didn't get that. It's just really impressive work by students and staff, and it's something we should be proud of, and I think that next year's total might approach 2.5 times as many. So lots of good things going on in the classrooms. Reports and recommendations of the treasurer, please.
I have the May forecast for presentation. First, we'll take a look at a simplified version of the updated forecast. This includes the district's beginning cash balance, revenues, expenses, deficit spending status, and ending cash balance for each year. Based on current revenue projections and spending plans, the district is deficit spending in the general fund this fiscal year, meaning expenses are exceeding revenues. The district is projected to have a negative cash balance in fiscal year 29 if expiring levies are renewed, or in fiscal year 28 if they are not renewed. Keep in mind that the forecast is a projection of the future based on a snapshot of today. That snapshot, however, will be adjusted, and the further into the future the forecast extends, the more likely it is that the projections will change. Several factors will ultimately impact the forecast, such as the state budget that is adopted every 2 years, changes in district strategic plans, the status of current tax levies and any changes to property tax laws, changes in costs to operate the district, changes in grant funding, such as federal title funds. With these factors in mind, our numbers will continue to fluctuate, and future updates may look significantly different. Compared to the November forecast, fiscal year 25 revenue is trending slightly higher than expected, primarily due to increases in line 1.035, unrestricted state grants and aid, and line 1.06, all other revenues. However, projected total revenues for fiscal year 26 through fiscal year 29 are lower than those in the November forecast. These changes reflect the ongoing state budget process for fiscal year 26 and fiscal year 27. At the time this forecast was prepared, both the governor's and the House's budget proposals had been released. The district is now waiting for the Senate's proposal and the final budget, which should be approved by July 1st. This forecast is based on the House's proposal funding levels for fiscal year 26 and fiscal year 27. For fiscal year 28 and 29, it assumes the state funding will remain at fiscal year 27 levels, but with declining funding guarantees, since the funding formula for those years is not yet determined. We'll look at a few different scenarios later on in the presentation. The district's expenditures are now projected to be lower than previously estimated in November, due to several key factors. These include the reduction of nearly 30 positions through attrition, almost 50 certified staff retirements, lower health insurance costs resulting from a new insurance consultant, and planned cuts to spending on purchased services and supplies. Additionally, when the forecast is submitted, the district will no longer be under fiscal precaution status with the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. This improvement is a result of updated spending plans, which eliminated projected deficits in the first 3 years of the 5-year forecast. Let's take a closer look at the state of Ohio's budget impact. As the state of Ohio continues its biennial budget process, the final outcome, expected by July 1st, remains uncertain. With that in mind, the district has developed 4 forecast scenarios based on different potential versions of the state funding formula. Each scenario begins with a cash balance of about $22 million in fiscal year 25 and projects a decline over time, with all of them ending in a deficit. First, our current forecast that uses the House budget with guarantee reductions, shown in green, projects the cash balance dropping to about negative $13 million by fiscal year 29. Second, the Fair School Funding Plan, with continued phase-in blue, offers the most favorable outcome, ending with a smaller deficit of around negative $3 million. Third, the House budget with no guarantee reduction, shown in orange, falls in the middle, with a projected balance of about negative $6 million. And finally, the governor's budget, in gray, ends with a deficit of almost negative $14 million by fiscal year 29. These projections clearly show how different state funding approaches can significantly impact the district's financial outlook. Looking ahead, if the final budget from the state of Ohio includes any major changes to the state funding or other key aspects of the district's financial plan, an updated 5-year forecast will be prepared and submitted to the Board of Education for approval in July. As we plan for the next update and November's forecast, we will continue to evaluate the quality and effectiveness of our programs and services, adjust the budget accordingly, review our current levies, and then determine when to ask our taxpayers for continuing and/or additional funds to support the district. Changes in any of these areas could cause the numbers in the November forecast to significantly fluctuate. As we move through our planning process, we remain committed to transparency, collaboration, and responsible financial management. We will keep the community informed about key financial updates, involve stakeholders in decision-making, and develop a plan that supports the long-term success of our students, staff, and community. Our top priority remains delivering a high-quality education for our students, while also supporting the adults who serve them. This concludes the May forecast presentation. If there are no questions, I have items 8.01 through 8.06 for approval.
Discussion?
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Dr. Graham.
Thank you, sir. I'd like the board to consider for approval items 9.01 to 9.07, personnel matters.
For those of you that may have old copies of the agenda, an item has been added to this section regarding some administrative contracts who weren't on the agenda originally.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
I'd like the board to consider for approval items 10.01 to 10.15, operations matters.
So moved. Support.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Okay, any new business for anyone? Committee reports and requests from board members. I think we covered that in the behavior section. How about second hearing of the public? Thank you. Next board meeting will be June 9th at 5 p.m. right here in our beautiful new boardroom. Be there. And at this point, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for reason A2, employment. We have a motion from Mrs. Washington.
Support.
Roll call.
Mrs. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson.
Yes.
Dr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mrs. Nazario.
Yes.
The board will not be taking any action when we disperse.